Hey everybody, movie review next door here, and I'm back with another review. This time I saw Plane. It's a 2023 uh, action thriller film directed by Jean-Francois Richet, and it stars Gerard Butler, Mike Coulter, Tony Goldwyn, Yoson An, Evan Dane Taylor, Paul Ben Victor, and Daniela Pineda. In this film, after a heroic job of successfully landing a storm-damaged aircraft in a war zone, a fearless pilot finds himself between the agendas of multiple militias planning to take the plane and its passengers hostage. So, what did I think of Plane? Well, this is exactly why I don't try to listen to all of hype around a bunch of stuff. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's a bad film. It's not. But I do think it's a little bit misguided in where it's going, and none of it has to do with this weird controversy surrounding it. I'll talk a tiny bit about it, but I also have to go into spoilers in order to get into the nitty-gritty of why I don't 100% get into this. But let me get to the cast. Also, spoiler alert. Gerard Butler plays Brody Torrance. He's a former Royal Air Force commando or whatever, Royal Air Force uh, officer working as a pilot now. He's known for having a history of violence or history of defending himself. Um, I like him in the film. I think he is good as always. I always think that he brings his A game to films like this. Um, and it was nice to see him in a more actiony role after something like what was the last thing I saw him in? Uh, Last Seen Alive, which while not being a terrible film, it was just insanely mediocre. Uh, Mike Coulter plays Louis Gaspar. He's a former um, French Foreign Legion guy that's being extradited on charge of murder. Mike Coulter, many people will know him from the show Evil. He's been in a lot of films. I think he's been in multiple Tyler Perry films. He was in Carter for a tiny bit. He was in Black and Blue. I enjoyed his performance in that and Fatale. Um, but yeah, oh yeah, he's in Salt. I completely forgot he was in Salt. But I do really enjoy this actor, and I think he was a perfect choice for a more actiony role as well. Um, Tony Goldwyn plays Scarsdale. He's kind of a fixer guy that comes in when they find out where the plane is. I like Tony Goldwyn as an actor. He's kind of just chewing the scenery at times. He's not going so far that it becomes laughable, but I don't think he's taking this that serious. Yosun An plays Samuel Dele. Uh, he's the co-pilot. He does a good job, but he's not given a lot to do. Evan Dane Taylor plays Datu Junmar. He's the leader of this like militia, these bad people that take the people hostage. He was fine, not much to his character. Paul Ben Victor plays Terry Hampton. He's a guy in the meeting room that we keep cutting back to of them trying to figure out what they're supposed to do to save the people from the plane. Uh, and Daniela Pineda plays Bonnie Lane, who is basically um, the main flight attendant that we get to learn, that we get to know, kinda. But one thing, question quickly, the controversy surrounding this film, because there's always a controversy. Um, in the Philippines, apparently, an actor, um, and Senator Robin Padilla condemned the film's portrayal of the Philippines, pointing out how the film depicted Jolo as being run by separatists and militia and the Philippine army as cowards. Um, but in response, a bunch of people said they would reevaluate the film. Um, And also there the Directors Guild of the Philippines opposed the ban, apparently, because, oh wow, they argued that the film was not a reliable commentary on the country's affairs, stating that Plane was just mindless B-movie entertainment, which that's about how I can say this is. It is kind of mindless entertainment, but I thought it was going for something a bit more serious, which it is. This film, it is very seriously toned. Now, compare this to other films from this director, Jean-François Richet. Mesrin, Public Enemy, Number One, and Killer Instinct, very serious films from what I've heard. Emperor of Paris, serious film. Assault on Precinct 13, from what I've heard, kind of serious. And Bloodfather with Mel Gibson, which is the only other film of his I have seen, kind of serious, but also kind of popcorn movie, popcorn entertainment, just a fun fucking movie. Uh, it's through looking at movie reviews for that I found out about Jay Longbone, who has become one of my favorite YouTubers as of lately. But Plane has a plot that is kind of similar, I recognize, to Delta Force with Chuck Norris, Lee Marvin. Um, the villain was played by oh, who played him? I'm surprised that's not on the similar films thing. Robert Forster. The villain was played by Robert Forster, and I think Robert Forster did a great fucking job playing that villain. I would 100% watch that over this, but then again, I think that's one of Chuck Norris's best films. Some people would say it's not that well paced. It is about 2 hours, but for me, I think it was interesting getting to see a lot of the people on the plane. You get to actually learn about them before they're in danger. This film, one of its biggest flaws with that is that I don't know anything about any of the passengers. I know that one of them is a clean freak and he wipes off a seat before sitting in it. One guy's an influencer who's taking videos of everything. These two girls try to take a picture with a convict and he tells them to not. Excuse me. Um, and I really struggle to think of anything else. Oh yeah, and there's a convict. But we get to learn about the convict and Gerard Butler's character, but that's about it. And that's a big issue, I think, with this film. This film is trying to be a bit more serious, a bit more down to earth than a lot of hijacking or um kidnapping films like this, or hostage films. And I can tell what it's going for because it's shot very um, you see a lot of mundane stuff, but I wasn't against that. The beginning of the film, it takes a while for us to get to the plane crashing. I think about 20 or 25 minutes until the plane crashes, and all of our characters don't get taken hostage until about an hour into the film, into an hour and 47-minute film, and they're rescued pretty quick as well. So part of what I think happened here is they wanted both a like kind of over the top action movie like Gerard Butler is known for, the Olympus Has Fallen films, even though Olympus Has Fallen had a lot of attention to detail in stealth and how to get out of a situation easily, and the siege on the White House being one of the best action scenes I've seen in that era, for sure, because actual Secret Service people came together and planned the most realistic siege on the White House, like what you'd actually have to do. And I love that attention to detail, and there's attention to detail in certain things here. But I think that in going for that more down to earth tone and casting Gerard Butler, I think was a bit of a mistake. Again, don't get me wrong, I love Gerard Butler. I think he can handle an acting or drama heavy performance. Law Abiding Citizen being one of them, even though I have many issues with that film. I still love his performance in that, and I consider it to be his best performance to date. And it really shows that he could win an Oscar if he got the right script, if he got the right director, and all that. And maybe if Law Abiding Citizen had its original ending, it would be more powerful, more thought provoking. I keep getting sidetracked because this film, again, I don't hate this film. It's decent and it's a decent enough watch, partially because, again, Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter make for a really cool team. And the action, when the action is there, it's well done. Um, it's shot fine. It does have kind of that gritty, kind of Sicario way of shooting it, though, which works in this instance. And there's some nice bits of violence in it, especially with a guy later near the end of the film sniping these bad guys of this militia group, and like I think it's like a 50 cal rifle because it like goes through the car that they're hiding behind, and like just a big fucking explosion of blood. I was like, okay, this is what I like to see. But again, in this film, going for a bit of a more down to earth approach for most of the film, I feel like it would have hit more if I knew more about the characters that I'm supposed to care about. Because I know next to nothing about any of the passengers aside from Mike Coulter. And not even the like friend or the co-pilot and the stewardess. I don't really know much about them either. I just know that they're on the back of the I mean they're on the back of the Blu-ray case, and then Tony Goldwyn is there. Um and again, we barely know anything about Tony Goldwyn. He's mainly there to be kind of like in other movies like Air Force One, where you have Glenn Close on the ground playing the vice president. It's that type of role. I'm not gonna like shit on it because it's in most of these types of movies. You have someone on the ground that's trying to help them. But this film is like three different movies all into one. It's a plane landing film. Like a lot of thrillers that take place on planes, they have this big moment where they land the plane. This film has two. You get the landing at the very beginning and the landing at the end on the other island. You have a uh, you have a kind of hostage taking thing that happens for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. They're held hostage. And then you have them sneaking around taking guys out, and it feels kind of unbalanced. It feels like one side of the production wanted a super like action packed, like again, like Delta Force had a lot of action in it and a lot of really well done action. And then you have the other side that wants to be a more like Captain Phillips type thriller, where it's more just the tension of the situation and all that. And I like both of those types of movies, but I don't think it works when you mix them together. Bloodfather, from the same director, I think did a better job of telling a more like down to earth story with having the small moments of crazy shit, him riding the bike with the shotguns, fucking shooting the guys and them going under the tires of the big rigs. Fucking awesome. And I actually cared about the characters because they built them up. And also, with hiring Gerard Butler, you expect him to do a lot of like action stuff. And to be honest, he does more here than he did in Last Seen Alive, which I swear to God, he killed like two guys. I think he shot two guys. That's about it. And I mean, if you want a better version of Last Seen Alive, watch Breakdown with Kurt Russell and Kathleen Quinlan. You've got even Blacktop with Meatloaf, Kristen Davis, and Lachlan Monroe. That was a better road thriller abduction movie. The Vanishing from 1993 with Kiefer Sutherland, Nancy Travis, who did really good in that film. There are better films than that. But here, um, Gerard Butler takes out a couple guys about the same, and most of the heavy lifting action wise is done by these commandos that Tony Goldwyn's character sends in, and it was a bit of a disappointment. Mike Coulter gets a bit more to do than him action wise, which I'm cool with that because I like Mike Coulter. But when I go into a Gerard Butler action movie where literally on the back they're like, uh, saves his passengers. The only person he can count on for help is Louis Gaspar. Uh, yeah, he'll learn there's more to Gaspar than meets the eye. And like, also they never really go further with that. I will get to that, but it's just kind of disappointing when you go into a Gerard Butler action film and you don't get a lot of Gerard Butler fighting. It is a big disappointment to me. And also with Mike Coulter's character, there's this whole mystery surrounding like, oh, he uh is being transported because he killed somebody. We never learn why. We never learned who was killed, if it was a noble cause, if like one of his superiors in the French Foreign Legion was corrupt and he killed him because he didn't want to go through with an order that would have killed innocent people, something like that. But we get nothing. And overall, it makes his character feel kind of like he doesn't matter in certain ways because you don't learn about this. At the end of the film, I hate to, again, I already said spoilers. He just kind of runs off while they're heading off with the plane. Like he saves the day from he saves them from a rocket launcher, a guy with a rocket launcher aiming at the plane. And then he just runs off with a bunch of ammo. And apparently there's going to be a sequel to this called Ship, and Mike Coulter is going to be the main star, and maybe Brody is going to have Gerard Butler's character, Brody, is going to have a cameo, maybe. But it just seems kind of odd to end the movie like that with him not even having like an end to a story. And all the stuff about like learn that there's more to Gaspar than meets the eye. He can shoot. That's about all you learn about him, really. You again don't learn who he killed. You don't learn anything about his relationship with anybody, and at no real point do like there's like one point where he kills one of the like soldiers or whatever, I guess to save his family or something, and it's supposed to be like a did he do the right thing? Did he do the wrong thing? Is he gonna shoot me? But nothing really comes of it, so it's just kind of whatever. And yeah, a lot of the movie does have some weird stuff about that. I just feel like some people didn't know exactly what they wanted, and I don't know. If people really enjoyed this, again, cool. That's good for you. I enjoyed this to an extent. Again, when the action is there, it's well done, it's well shot. It comes off like good enough. There's some really good moments of violence, even though I think they're cutting around a lot of violent parts. Like there's a guy that gets beheaded and you don't see it, um, and they cut away from it really quick. It's odd, but um, and it does have its fun moments, especially the climax is pretty fun and exciting, actually. But yeah, overall, it's decent, mindless entertainment. I say mindless because it could have been more. You could have developed more things about a lot of characters, but yeah, that was my review of Plane. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door, out.